Hi everybody, this is Wade from Wade's Orchids, and we're going to look a little bit at some culture for Catasetums. This is a first bloom Catasetum that I have. It's Bella Vista Sangria crossed with Chuck Taylor. I believe it's named, but I don't really know the name off the top of my head. And we're going to back up here a little bit and I'll show you the whole plant. There's a lot of variance in the seedlings here as far as the colors and that go. This is more of a mauve coloring. I'm sorry, it's at the end of its flowering. You can see that some of the flowers have already started to fade on it. I only have a couple that are in good shape yet. This plant here itself, I have fairly large hands, but to give you an idea, this bulb here is probably I'd say about 7 inches long. This is what's called a small growing or almost a mini Catasetum. Chuck Taylor, it has Denticulatum as one of the parents. So its grandparent is Denticulatum, which is a very, very small growing one. This is getting back into more the medium size, certainly not large, but it's gotten away a bit from the miniature Catasetums. I think, let me go up real close here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but I believe that I have another spike that may be coming up right here. So it's easily possible to get more than one spike even on a small plant like this. A friend of mine, Chris Bevins, has gotten 7 spikes off of his first bloom seedling of one of his. So you can really get a lot of bounce for your buck, so to speak, on this. I'm going to talk more about the culture of these things than to show you the flowers. It's the only one I have in flower right now, but there's been a lot of questions going on as to how to take care of these. Some people have gotten some growths that have come up at different points, but I'm going to start with just giving you the basic life cycle of these. These start out in the spring completely dormant. A lot of people take them and take them out of the pot and cut most of the roots off and take the potting media out. You can put them in a shoebox, keep them someplace where it's fairly dry and cool. They like it, I'd say in the 50s, something like that. You can, like I said, you can put them in a shoebox. They don't need any light at this point. It's like you're keeping over a tulip bulb, okay? Certainly they want no moisture at that point. Any type of moisture at that point will probably rot them, okay? So what's going to happen as they come out of dormancy, you will start to see some root growth coming out, and that is the time to pot them up, but still no watering at all until the roots are minimum of 2 to 3 inches long. And we're not talking about one root, we're talking about all of the roots. And you should be seeing like 4 to 10 or even more on a large plant. And then you start watering lightly, and the top growth will, you'll start to see a new growth coming up from the old bulb. As things continue to grow, you'll want to give it more water. I start out by just misting them and go to a heavy mist where the surface of the potting media gets a little bit moist. I use mostly sphagnum moss to pot them in. and then keep going until the point where the roots are like that long. Then you can really start to keep them really moist, okay, because they'll be starting to get into full growth, both below the soil line, I call it, but we don't use soil, but both roots and top growth are going to be in full-blown growth, and at that point you want them to be kept very moist. One thing that I have found out is that they do not like to be over potted so that they're kept soggy all the time. They really don't really care for that too much. But just short of that, the ideal thing would be to water it, and in 2 days have the top of the media start to get a little bit dry, and then you water it again. And something else about these things, when they are growing, they are very, very heavy feeders. What I do is, let me switch to a larger plant here, and right here's a nice, good one to show. This one here is a Catasetum gray stun. And you can see that the bulbs on this are, I mean, we're talking like fist-sized bulbs here. This is fully mature bulbs. What I do is I have a little bit of drainage in the bottom, and then I have sphagnum moss, and then I put in some osmunda, or not osmunda, some time-release fertilizer here. Tripping all over everything, guys. Osmocote. This is the Osmocote I use. I call it Pink Label. It has a pink cap. The reason I use this is you can see it says it feeds for 4 months. It also has got all the micronutrients that you need for time release. Okay, in addition to this, when I water and fertilize things in the greenhouse, it also gets the liquid fertilizer along with everything else. So these things are very, very heavy feeders. This particular type, this is this one here does not flower until it goes completely dormant. Also, I think Catasetum may be not the truly appropriate name for this, because one of the parents is Cloecia Rebecca Northern, and Cloecias have got a big tendency to go completely dormant, and then they'll flower with a multitude of spikes all at once. And that's the way this one is. I got this off of a good friend of mine, April Arroyo, or Arroyo, I'm sorry, April. And she's got a couple of these. She gave me a division here, and it's doing really well. So we're going to go and put some sphagnum moss here, and then we're going to put some time release fertilizer, some more sphagnum moss, some more time release fertilizer. Okay? And we want these to get a lot of fertilizer as they're growing. Hey, that will max them out. Something that I have done with this is, you see that I have both of these bulbs tied at the top. This is a good place to tie them off at if they need support. I noticed that they were a little bit wobbly. Something to show you that I've had a little bit of problem with, you can see that I have a little bit of algae buildup. I really dislike algae for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that when you get a heavy buildup like this, it will block the airflow going into the sphagnum moss. Also, it looks crappy. I mean, I hate the look of it. So you can spray this with a fungicide or something to keep it down. Unfortunately, the use of all this fertilizer promotes algae, and if it's kept moist for very long, you will get this. Something that you could do, you could top dress this with some fine fir bark to take care of that, because algae will not grow if it doesn't have any light. And top dressing with fine fir bark will allow the fir bark to dry very quickly on the top and hopefully take care of that problem. Okay? So, what we want to do is, we are here in mid-September to the end of September here. It's actually the 24th, I believe. So these things are going to be getting, start getting yellow leaves after a while, and that's our sign to start to decrease watering, to stop fertilizing. You notice I said that the Osmocote here has got 4 months. That means we put this on in the spring, and 4 months later, say we put it on in April, so we have April, May, June, July, and it's starting to taper off in August. By this time of year, there isn't too much left. See if I can find one of these pellets. Yeah, there's not much left in these pellets anymore, okay, which is what we want. And then at this point, when the leaves start to yellow, we start to back off on watering, we stop fertilizing, and allow them to go into dormancy. Everything goes in a cycle here, and Catasetums are a really good way to teach you the yearly cycle of a plant that goes dormant. Because if you just follow your watering and feeding with the way the plant tells you, in other words, in the fall, as the leaves start to become yellow, you give less water, more yellow, a couple starts dropping off, less water. You're now at the point, you're probably getting near the end of October, where you just want to keep things just damp a little bit. And as they lose their leaves, you stop watering altogether. Okay, in this case, this is when these bloom. Most of the Catasetums will bloom around now, or maybe in a little bit later. Some even bloom as early as late spring. This is a plant here. I'm using the clay pot here just for ballast. This is the largest bulb that I have. This is a Fred Clark era after dark variety Sunset Valley Orchids, which has an FCC. And you can see right here, hopefully, that there's a spike here just starting. There's also a spike here. I don't see one there, but there's going to be 2 or 3 spikes. Oh, there's a good one. That one's starting to really go now. Okay, so I have 3 spikes coming on this plant right now, and boy, I could use this for shade in the greenhouse. These things, as you see, they get big. This thing is rooted very well. It's not wobbly, so I didn't have to stake it or anything. But you can see I've got some algae in there. Okay, and there's the remains of some fertilizer pellets that are pretty much just a shell there. Yep, not much to them anymore. So this thing is going to have 3 spikes on it pretty soon. Something to watch for during the summer is spider mites. Get yourself a nice magnification lens or something so that you can check these out. Look for, not just for webs, but there's the false spider mites or red spider mites, which are so small that you cannot see them with the naked eye. So you have to go and get yourself a good lens so that you can see this. You may start seeing the evidence of what they do by a silvery coating on the bottom of the leaves. I take care of these pretty good. I give them a spray with my Formula 409 and alcohol mix. That's basically 1 cup of 409, 1 cup of alcohol, a little bit of Dawn dish detergent, and that makes a gallon worth. And I just put that in a hand sprayer, and I go around and I spray all these starting midsummer with that. And doesn't hurt the plants at all, but it does seem to kill off any spider mites. While we're talking about spraying and things, once these go dormant, you may want to give these a treatment with Physan. I want to get myself some Captan and spray them with. One thing that you don't want to be doing, here's another one. This is a Fred Clark era also, and hopefully I will be getting, I think that this may be a spike coming. Yeah, I have a spike coming there. Okay. And I think this is also a spike coming. Here's an example where this bulb here did not start forming until midsummer. So we're going to just go according to what this main part of the plant is doing as far as life cycle goes. And we may be forcing this into dormancy a little bit early, but that's okay. It'll be fine. The thing is, we want to make sure that these things go and get their dormant period, and we stop watering them in time, because if we don't stop watering them in time, we will rot the whole plant. At this point, you do not want to be repotting these at all. I'm going to just slip this out of the pot very carefully. I think I can do it without disturbing anything. And I'm going to grab this so I don't disturb the flower spike, and see if I can get this out. Okay, there we go. And we have good root growth going there. As you can see, this is potted, and just, I mentioned a little bit of drainage. I use styrofoam peanuts in this case, and then sphagnum moss. And in a 4-inch pot, this thing here it's sucking up the water really quickly. So I'm watering it about every other day, which is fine. It's really healthy, doing well. You can see the size of that bulb is really good. This is a first bloom seedling that I have right here, and it's going to really put out a nice show because I have a lot of good top growth here to support it. Again, you can see I went and I actually put a flower stake there, and then I tied onto it right at the top of the bulb there to keep it from wiggling around, because it was getting it was leaning forward. It was also top heavy. It was falling down a lot, and this is starting to wobble. So I stabilized it, and then it's good to go. So as I said, you do not want to be disturbing the roots. In this case, I did this just to show you. I don't recommend you doing this to check on roots, because you can tell that the things are sucking up water like crazy. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple other things here. I put this out here. This is a bit of a disappointment to me. This is denticulatum, and you can see here was the old bulb, and this new growth here is not doing real well. I may have overpotted it, I don't know, but it's not doing the best. I hope that it pulls through the winter and can come back next year and put out a good growth and maybe bloom. This should certainly have been blooming size right now, and it's not anywhere close to it. I really don't know what I did wrong, but just wanted to show you that. Here is another plant in the Catasetumi. This is a Cycnoches. This is Cycnoches G-Monier, and this is potted in about the right size pot for it. And you can maybe see some of the roots in there, but it's got quite a few roots, and it's nice and firm. Got a nice spike coming out there. I had one coming here, but unfortunately, at this point, they are very brittle, and something happened. It got hit and it broke off. So that spike didn't come forth and give any flowers, but thankfully I have a spike coming here. The Cycnoches and Mormodes can be a bit more delicate and can rot more easily in some cases than the Catasetums. So you have to be careful with them, but they are very rewarding. And you can see how they grow. This was the last growth, and here's this growth. This is like 4 times the size, at least. So it's really rewarding. I want to give a shout out to Fred Clark and Sunset Valley Orchids for Fred almost single-handedly has brought these from obscure species that people had and just a few hybrids to the point where they're starting to become very popular, and he has done an incredible amount with the breeding, as evidenced by all the awards that he has gotten. Dozens and probably well over 100 awards in the Catasetumi, including many FCCs to his Fred Clark eras and other Catasetums. Fred Clark era is a man-made hybrid that Fred originated, and it's named after him, which I believe is Marmotes, Catasetum, and Cloecia. I could be wrong on that. I am not a professional on this or an expert. I am just showing you what I know, and I may have some errors and things like that because I don't work in the breeding of them. But they are very much worthwhile having. One thing I should tell you, when they're growing, they like it warm. They like it 80 to 95 degrees and lots of light. One thing about the Catasetums is that the male and the female flowers are produced on separate spikes, although you can have both on the same plant but on different spikes. The female flowers almost always look almost identical from one plant to the other. They look like some kind of alien hooded monk. Very strange. Most people really don't care for that too much. They like the female flower or the male flowers, which are much larger and very variable, and they're the ones that have all the colors. Most of the female flowers are green, but they are produced by one way of encouraging them is by giving them a lot more sun. So to encourage them, you put them in you know, more than Cattleya light, almost like Vanda conditions. These will go and give you the regular flowering and less light, which is what you want unless you're breeding, and that's to give them like Cattleya light, or maybe a touch less, but around Cattleya type light. We're talking about 2,500 foot candles, okay? And that will give you really good flowering. So thanks for watching. If you have any more questions about this, let me know. As I said, I do not consider myself an expert on these. Fred Clark's the expert. Thank you, Fred. Thank you so much for everything you've done with this. And we'll see you. Bye-bye.